So the idea of this session is to show people what's involved in doing Moodle development. I mean, obviously some of it is just writing PHP code, but there's also a lot of procedural stuff if you actually want to get your changes made part of Moodle. That can be a bit daunting if you've not done it before. So I seemed helpful to just sort of walk you through the process of what's actually involved in getting a change into Moodle. Hi Sue, nice you could join us. It would be helpful in this session to know a bit about my audience. So could you, if you wanted to type a few words in the chat, are you a developer? Have you got much Moodle experience? And describe things. Here's Richard. I saw your presentation earlier. You're definitely not a wannabe developer. You are actually a developer. Right. Thanks, Sue. So, and at the very least, if nothing else happens this session, hopefully we can get 2 more bugs in Moodle fixed. So the bug we're going to have a look at is one some reprobate called Joshua Bragg reported just under a week ago. Sorry, Josh. In fact, it's quite helpful because I can't think, when did we do these changes in the quiz reports? Yeah, it was in Moodle 2.7, which was released a year ago. And amazingly, no one's actually noticed this problem before, which sort of surprises me. I mean, I'd have thought other people would have hit this, but maybe someone did notice, but they couldn't be bothered to actually tell us it was broken. But Joshua could be bothered. He's told us that in this situation, sometimes you get an error from the quiz statistics. Yeah, well, that's one possible explanation. There's a lot of useful information in the quiz statistics report, but how many people actually look at it is another matter. Now, I mean, good start. Joshua copied and pasted the complete error message, which tells us where exactly it's going wrong. But initially it was kind of irritating bug report because it's like sometimes it goes wrong, but sometimes it doesn't, and that's not so helpful. Joshua had managed to isolate it, seemed to be something to do with short answer questions, perhaps. So anyway, I replied saying, well, that's a good start, but still quite difficult. It's quite a difficult bug at this point to know how to fix because we don't know exactly what causes it. So I replied saying, if you could, what you ultimately want with a bug to make it really easy to fix is some steps to reproduce. So really step by step, if you create a quiz with these settings, add presumably a short answer question with these options, and make an attempt, and then as a teacher go to the report, then you see the error, and you expect not to see the error. That makes it really, because then I can do that on my system and I can see, well, I can hopefully dig in and see what's going wrong and then I can fix it. So Joshua provided some more information, and the key bit actually came down to key thing turned out to be it was where a student had started an attempt and finished it without actually putting in an answer. So the problem seems to be when a student has not answered a question in a quiz, and that's what's causing it to go wrong. And that turned out to give me the clue to be able to sort of see what was going on. So if we go back, the error is in a file in Moodle called question behavior base, and it's line 301. So now it's probably time to start going and having a look at the Moodle code to have a look. So the error message, I don't know, do people have any sort of idea how the Moodle code is organized? Shall I say a few words about that? actually, that was really bad. I asked 2 yes/no questions, and the answers are probably yeah. Thank you, Richard. You can be better if I ask questions that could be Y or N. So the M in Moodle is for modular, and code is sort of structured like that. So if we look here, we've got a folder called blocks, and that's where all the block plugins are. So each block is a separate folder. So there's like the HTML block, the login block, the mentees block, the messages block, and so that folder is basically a Moodle plugin. You go and look somewhere else. So mod is where all the activity modules and resources live, and you see mod, assignment, chat, database, feedback, glossary, and mod quiz. And some plugins have their own plugins inside them. So the quiz, for example, we've got a number of the quiz has a number of quiz access rules you can install, or a number of quiz reports. Actually, I've got there are 4 by standard, and I've got some of the Open University reports installed here to test them. So quite a lot of the code is just made up of plugins. You've got activity modules. You've got enrollment plugins, and you've got course formats. So there are different plugins. The rest of the code is different parts of Moodle core. So things like the badges system, or the conditional availability system, or completion tracking, or messaging system. So the other way the code is organised, there are folders to do with different parts of Moodle core. I agree that we had this problem earlier. The audio started breaking up, and I had to leave and come back in. Is it bad enough that I should try going out and coming back?
Yeah, please try that. Thanks, Tim.
Yes. So should it be as simple as just reload? Is it working better now?
Sounding much better, thank you.
Right, good. Let's hope it lasts a while before I have to do that again. Just let me pull back the screen sharing. That's back there. Share a region. Start sharing. I'm using that one. So I was saying there are various parts of the system are different parts of Moodle core, and of course the bit we're interested in is the question system, because that seemed to be where the error message was coming from. And the error message was actually coming from this file, line 310. Oh, 301. And now I realize I'm looking in the wrong place, because this is the latest Moodle 3.0 dev, and things have changed. Joshua's bug report actually came from Moodle 2.7. Need to be looking at the Moodle 2.7 code. And the program I'm using, by the way, here is called Eclipse. It's a code editor, and I mean Moodle code is just a text file. It's not normally in pretty colors. My editor's just putting in pretty colors to make it easier to read. I think I take that for granted as a developer, but if you're not, So anyway, this is where the error is coming from, this classify responses function. And now, I suppose we should go back and actually read the exact error message in the bug report to see what it's telling us. Call to member function blah get qt data on non-object. So those of you, I don't know, there are quite a lot of developers in the room. So in PHP, this is it calling a function and on an object, and this is the object, and this object is basically doesn't exist. And so what we're doing in PHP, things get numbered from 0. So this is kind of the first, well, this is where you have to work out what's going on. So what we're doing is we've got this thing that gets stepped, this may be almost incomprehensible if you don't know how the quiz statistics report works. I'm not sure how many people know that. Probably very few. Jamie Pratt implemented it, and I know a bit about it. So basically what happens in the report are there are various options, and it's actually, so there's like this last try, first try, all tries. So we need to get the basically what's happening, and I mean the other thing to remember is the other bit of the bug report, which is that the problem happens when students haven't answered the question. So basically what we're doing is when students haven't answered the question, we're still trying to access the first response they gave, and that doesn't exist. And therefore, since it doesn't exist, you can't call a function on it. So in this case, because I knew roughly how the code worked, once I had found the right line of code, it was quite clear to me what the problem was. If it wasn't clear, then you would have to get into debugging techniques of how do you go from an error message to find out what's wrong. And the first thing to do would be to set up a quiz in your test Moodle site and try and cause the error to happen yourself. Anyway, I'm now at the point, and of course, I mean, this is a bit where it's just a matter of quite a lot of experience, but I'm now at the point where I think I know how to fix this bug, and so now we ought to start going through the process for doing a bug fix. I apologize, I really didn't explain that very well at all. So let's go back to the bug report. When bugs come in, they're normally in an unassigned state, and actually because I started thinking about that, I've already assigned it to myself and marked it as development in progress. The other thing we should do, when bug reports come in, I mean, anyone in the world can report a Moodle bug, and we get some bug reports that are actually erroneous. They're not actually a problem in Moodle. Someone's got their server set up wrong, but they report it as a bug in Moodle. So as part of sort of reviewing bugs as they come in, we mark the ones that we sort of verified as triage, and that hadn't been done. So we should mark this as triage. It's in the development in progress state, and what we're going to have to do is have code in Git. So we now need to go to my terminal window where we can do some Git commands. Where are we? On the master branch. I wonder when I last updated this. I don't know, I better ask, how many people in this session know about Git? You type one word to sort of rate your Git expertise. Good, that some people do. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so before I start, what I should do is I should make sure that my install of Moodle is up to date with the latest Moodle code, and it seems I'm not, so I ought to do. I said in the introduction to this course, typing while people watching is not easy. Right. So that's updated this computer with the latest version of the Moodle code, and I've also pushed it to my area on GitHub. And to do the bug fix, what we need to do is create a new branch to do the work on. And the convention is to call the branch after the bug, so you can sort of easily remember what it is. So we've got a branch ready to do some work. As I said, I've been lazy and I haven't actually gone to my test Moodle site and set up a quiz where we can test the problem. And actually, that's a mistake because to really know you fixed a bug, ideally it helps if you, of course I've just updated Moodle, so we need to run through the update. You don't really know you fixed a bug unless you can actually cause the bug to happen in the first place before you change the code. And so you can see the error was happening, then you change the code, and then you can see that the error has gone away. I suppose we ought to go and create a quiz with a short answer question and see if we can generate the error message that Joshua reported. Right. Great. Also, this test site runs really slow because I've got all the developer options turned on, and things like caching disabled, and that really slows things down. So this is my test course where I have hundreds of junk quizzes for testing different bugs. He is stats. Matters. We need save and display. Thanks, and that's a good question. I know we found the bug in Moodle 2.7, but when fixing a bug, you always start in the latest version of Moodle. Actually, the code in question's just moved a little bit. So actually, this is in Moodle in the latest, in the Moodle development version where we're going to do the work. It's actually we've got the code just here. This was creating is. Yes, it's not a given that if a bug happens in an old branch of Moodle, it still happens in the latest version. But in this situation, the bug does happen in all versions that are still supported. So I don't know if you've, short answer. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we've got the new quiz editing page that arrived in Moodle 2.8. Short answer question. And this is entirely the fault of my colleague Sam Marshall that all my test questions, the right answer is frog. I started that and I somehow each have it. Now we have a quiz, one short answer question. To be able to run the reports, you actually need an attempt by a student. And the good trick is that if you use different web browsers, you can log in as different people, same Moodle site at the same time. So, and log in using Firefox. Is another thing you can tell is all my development sites have really insecure private passwords. Yes, that's the other way you can do it in Chrome, private tabs, let you log in different people in different tabs. So here, so way to reproduce the bug as reported by Joshua, or as you start an attempt and you submit it without answering the question. The student's done the quiz. We need to go back as a teacher and we go look at the reports and the statistics. And that problem happened when you said statistics for first attempts.
Tim, I think your audio's going again.
Not again. Why are we not getting the error? Right. So quiz settings are wrong. Is the audio going bad for other people? Right. We'll reload again in a second. Just behavior needs to be interactive. This is why in a good bug report you really want steps to reproduce to easily see the stuff. Just going to leave and come back, hopefully that will fix. Okay, with a bit of luck, this is now intelligible again. Now I need to do screen sharing. So I need to take over as presenter. I need to say screen share. Sharing. Of trying to reproduce the problem. We've changed it to be an interactive quiz. Is that all we need to do? Right, this is the one that needs to say first try and then calculate. Boom, that's the error we were expecting to see. Right, and as you can see on this version of Moodle, it's a different line number. So this is the problem we're trying to fix. We've convinced ourselves it happens, so if we fix the bug and that error goes away, we can be quite confident. So what we need to do is pick out this bit and then say if there is a first try, then we're okay and we can do what it did before. And if there isn't a first try, which is the case we hadn't considered, then we just need to, there are no results by returning an empty array. Okay. And it's not completely obvious that returning an empty array, thank you. This is why pair programming is a good thing. Someone else can look out and catch your mistakes. Yes, again, this is sort of my knowledge of the system, but I was able to sort of confirm it because if you look at what happens in this branch, in the case where there is no first try, then this for each loop will generate an empty array. So in this other branch, when there are no attempts, it'll return an empty array. And that sort of confirms to me that returning an empty array here is also the correct thing to do. Oh, no, I'm just reading the documentation, which is always a good thing to do. Actually, I think I'm wrong. No, actually, I'm wrong. So in this case, what we need to say is analyze an empty classify an empty response. So it needs to be more like this case. So in this case, if there isn't a response, then it's going to just analyze an empty response. So I'm glad I thought that through. So this should now be right, and we need to go and test it by regenerating the report page. Hooray! That's got that far without having an error. We can see one attempt. And what this bit of code is calculating, and again, this is where it helps to know the system, is it's this bit down at the bottom, the analysis of responses. And what we know we have is we have one student who didn't answer the question, and that's now showing up. So again, it looks like we're classifying what the student did in the right way. But it looks like we now have a correct bug fix in the code. So this is the correct change here. And so the next stage is to get this into Git. Therefore, you git status now. That's interesting, Anne. That's about PHP style, but I would say that in PHP, any object is treated as true and null is treated as false. So I would say the code I've written is a sensible way to write PHP. It is a style that is used a lot in Moodle. So anyway, we can see here now that we've got a stray file left over from something else I was doing. We've got one file that I've changed, and if we use git diff, we can see exactly what I've changed. I've changed the old code to put in that if statement. What we thought. So now we do git. So we need to write a commit comment, and there's a convention for this in Moodle. You always start with the bug number, and you give which part of the code is affected. And so I'm stopping think because the first line of the commit comment can only be about 70 characters long, and we've already used about 20. So might be short enough. Do I need to explain this in more detail? Thank you, Gareth. Yes, that is the may help someone understand the change in future. So I see, I've got a spelling mistake. Oh, that's useful. I can show you how to fix your mistakes. The nice thing about Git is before you've publicly shared your code, you can change anything you've messed up. says use git commit end. I made any other spelling mistakes? Yes, that's right. Right, that was better. So you push that up to GitHub so it's publicly available. Right. Now let's go and have a look at my case on GitHub. So here is my copy of the Moodle code, and we've just, whoa, I've got a lot of branches. We've just made a branch relating to bug number 50341. There we go. So GitHub has this system for submitting changes to open source projects called pull requests, and Moodle doesn't use that. But anyway, here we can see on GitHub the change I've made. And the good news is that it would tell me here if the first line was too long. It would sort of cut it off and wrap it. And looks like my comment fits. So now I need to tell people that I fixed this bug, which I do in the Moodle bug tracker by requesting peer review. I didn't really start by giving an overview of the Moodle development process, but let me just carry on. I might explain in a minute while we wait for something to happen. So, we need to tell people where the code is, and the answer is it's in my area of GitHub. We need to tell them the branch name I created there, and we need to give them a URL where they can see the comparison, which is that URL add. So we need to do that, and we need to tell people, when the code goes into Moodle, someone else has to test it to verify that it works. So we need to write some testing instructions. So this is very similar to the steps to reproduce. Okay, add one short answer question as student is as teacher. Question. Joshua, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have to be a short answer question. I think it would affect most question types. So possibly not stack, because I don't think stack does that sort of response analysis break. Oops. Go to the statistics report, change the setting to say find responses for first try. Right, so that's how to test it, and that's basically what we did. Now, I need a volunteer in a minute to peer review this, so I'm going to ask Gareth to do that, which I sort of asked in advance. There we go. Gareth, can you not start peer review yet, because we need to wait for Cybot to do the automated checks. And while we wait, I will talk through what it is we're actually doing. And what we're doing is we're following the Moodle development process, which is this rather scary diagram that doesn't even fit on the screen. So starts at the top where a bug report comes in, developer picks it up, which is what we did, and works out what the problem is and fixes it, proposes a fix and puts it up for peer review. So the issue is currently waiting for peer review. And I mean, at any point here, we might realize that actually it's a bogus bug report and it just needs to be closed. When something is waiting for peer review, there is a clever system that sort of finds it and applies some automated checks to the code change to catch some common errors without needing to waste a human's time. But in a minute, Gareth's going to peer review it, and if that's all okay, then the change goes into what is called waiting for integration review. So the way code actually gets into the official version of Moodle is that there's a weekly cycle. On Monday morning in Perth time, everything that's been submitted in the last week sort of goes into review. Let's have a look at that. If we go back to the bug tracker of the dashboards, they've got a dashboard to show this. So at the moment we're on Sunday, and there are all these issues over here waiting to be reviewed next week. There we go, 11 issues waiting. Is that all? I'm surprised it's not more than that. What will happen on Monday is that all these issues that are waiting will go into the middle here. And strange, there's something being done on a Sunday, which is unusual. Whoops. Place back to the tracker. All these issues will go in here, and then on Monday and Tuesday, the integration team, people like Dan Patowski, Eloy, Andrew Nichols, I'm forgetting some of them, I'm sorry, will give it a final review. So the code's about to get a peer review from Gareth, just another developer, but you have some really experienced developers who then each week give the code a final review. And if they are satisfied, the code goes into Moodle. And then on Wednesday, all the people at Moodle HQ test the issues that have been integrated that week using the testing instructions. And they've also now got lots of automated tests. Thanks, Gareth. And if once all the tests are passing and everyone's happy, then all that work is released as that next week's weekly release. So that's a weekly cycle. And on Friday, if they're lucky, the integrators actually get to do some of the development of their own. So there are these automated tests. Right? Yes, you can start that. So they have this clever thing called CI-bot. CI stands for continuous integration. It generates some automated reports, and actually that's a bit boring because it passed. I suppose it would be more interesting to find one that failed, because then you could sort of see the sort of things it points out. Let me see if I can remember one where we screwed up more badly. This was a big change we did in Moodle 2.9, and it had to go around several times. So we got some failures from the automated checks. Go through several times. No one with lots of errors. Yeah, that's more like it. So, see, there were some functions in the code that hadn't been properly documented, and it can find that. We had some commit comments that didn't follow the rules. The first line was too long, and it didn't contain the right thing. So, you know, in one of the files, the indent of the lines of code was wrong. So, well, that's oh no, yes, so it can find lots of boring, trivial things with the code, but which means that human peer reviewers can then comment on the more serious things. Gareth says he's done the peer review. Well, so Gareth will have clicked a button up the top. We don't see it because we're not doing the peer review. He will have done one saying start peer review, and it will have changed it to peer review in progress, and his name in. Yes, Anne. There's there is a plugin for Moodle that will check your code against the coding style. You can get it from the wrong link. Checker plugin. The code checker plugin that will do a lot of these checks against your code, and that's basically what you could. And the same style rules can be used in your editor like Eclipse or PHP Storm, and it's also what Cybot uses. So Gareth says he's done the peer review for us. Right. I should talk about the integration, the peer review checklist. It's actually probably the biggest problem with Moodle development at the moment, and it's actually another of these dashboards. We have a peer review dashboard. As you can see, there are 31 issues waiting for peer review. I think these are issues that have been waiting for more than 3 weeks to be reviewed. So that's really bad. That people do useful work that would probably improve Moodle, and then it sits around waiting because no one peer reviews it. In fact, there are 3 issues here that I'm meant to be peer reviewing and I haven't looked at yet, which is bad. So at the moment, the integration works really well. They have the weekly cycle. Every week they get it done. With peer review, stuff sits around for too long. So anyone can do peer review. It's called peer review. Any developer can do it. And what you're supposed to do is there's this page on the developer docs, peer review checklist. Explains what you're supposed to do, but basically there is a sort of checklist of things to remind you what to check, and they're all explained underneath. What Gareth has done, because he's good, is copy that checklist in and filled in the ones that are relevant that I've got right with a Y, and the ones that are not relevant with a dash. So that all looks good. So excellent. We now have a fix, and we've done the fix in the master branch, which is going to be Moodle 3.0 one day. Before we submit this for integration review, we need to wait. Sorry, we need to also make the same fixes on the stable branches. And we do that using Git. So if you go to my Moodle 2.9, so on this computer, I've got several copies of Moodle. So I need to update my Moodle 2.9 site first. That is an excellent question, Richard, which I'll answer in just a second when I'm not typing. Right, so we've updated my Moodle 2.9 branch. Now I can do MDL 50341 branch name. So git cherry pick is a command that will take a fix off another branch and apply it to this branch if possible, and that worked cleanly, which is another sign that the same bug affects master in this version. So now with a bunch of git commands, we've made exactly the same change in the git show in Moodle 2.9 branch as we did in the master branch. So now we need to do the 2.8 branch. Because the commands for applying a fix to another branch of Moodle are pretty repetitive, I've actually used something called git alias to automate it. So the sort of updating my branch I can do with a git update. I wrote a blog post about that. A lot of stuff you might want to look at. This one about automating git. That tells you what these shortcut commands I've done are and how they work. All that's doing is really the same commands as I just typed manually in one go. The other way people have to automate it, the folks at Moodle HQ have made a script called MDK, which I think stands for Moodle Development Kit, which is another way to automate these things. But I'm old school, I do it this way. That's what I'm used to. So I have now made the other branches we will need. So if we go back to the bug and edit it, I can put in the other branch information. On that branch is that 2.8. The autocomplete saves a lot of time. Again, I think MDK will do this for you if you look at learn how to do that. And I always like to, before I finally submit it for integration, I like to actually check that it will be good. See, that's fine. Yes, so those all do look identical. Good. So I think that is everything. So we can say submit for integration. 272. We don't need to. There's what 3 am I missing? No. As it happens, Gareth, it's taken as read that if a bug is fixed on the stable branches, it's also fixed in master, I think. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to fill in fixed version or if the integrators do that when they integrate it. But so that bug fix is sitting waiting. We will discover in the first half of next week whether it passes muster. Main thing I haven't done that perhaps I should have done is that maybe I could have written a unit test to detect this bug and prove that it was fixed. So the main reason this might get rejected is because they might demand I write a unit test. Actually, Anna, I don't think it's terribly difficult. I mean, I think we do have unit tests for this sort of thing. We're nearly out of the hour of time, but let's have a quick look to see if there are any unit tests for this sort of stuff. If there were unit tests, where would they be? think they'd be in the question type. I think there might be tests for classify response. Might not do it. No, because here we're just testing classify response for the question, not the whole system. The tests for statistics stuff. So there's this statistic. Oh no, that's not it. The code for the sort of core of the statistical analysis is I see what Anne means. Yes, to unit test this, you would need to do what we did: create a quiz and create a quiz attempt, and so on. But they've thought of that, and in Moodle unit tests, we've got this thing called generator. So it makes it very easy in a unit test. So this is a test of something. You can sort of say create course, create a user, make the user, so enroll the user in the course as a student, make some groups. I don't know what this test is doing. Create a quiz. Create several quizzes actually, and so actually this is a very complicated test. It's setting up lots of stuff, but the Moodle has this generator system to make it easy to create the test setup you need in a test before you actually do anything. Whoa, this is a terribly complicated test. I didn't write it. I think did this. It's brilliant. So I have no idea. Anyway, so that's the basic idea. You use these generators to set up the test data you need to test something. It actually makes it quite possible to test something like this that was quite different. So I think that's it. Is there any further questions? Things I should have said that I didn't? Submitting plugins is slightly different. To submit a plugin to the community, we need to go to the plugins database. Starting with that link, an irritating warning. They've got a useful checklist of things you should check before you submit your plugin, so that's worth going through. Then we've done that. Basically, for your plugin, we've said, looking at the code at the start, that a plugin in Moodle is basically a folder. You zip that folder up and you drag it in here. And if you've got it right, it lets you continue. If it's got various automated checks, some of which are annoying, but most of which are helpful, that let you take you through the process. So basically, go to the plugins database, click a link, and once you've uploaded your plugin, then there are some people. Again, there's a review process led by Dave Mudrak and his team of plugin guardians, who will check the plugin and give you feedback. Make sure there aren't any terrible security holes. So you should give that a go, Richard. Your ebook export, because that looked very useful. I had the feeling. There's another way. If you have your plugin on GitHub, certainly once you've released the first version, then you can update future versions straight from GitHub without having to mess around with zip files. It's brilliant. I don't know if you can go straight. Well, actually, yes, you can. So in the file picker, they've got a GitHub repository, and you can go and see all your Moodle plugins. And this plugin, that was a bad example. It doesn't have the tags, but plugin tags, tag the release. Why has that got no tag? You just select a tag and say release from that tag. I don't know. Yeah, it's all very straightforward. Once you get the hang of it, some of the automated checks are a bit fussy, like that's why they have these show more options. Some of the things automated. I think, Richard, it doesn't actually. Coding style won't stop you. Those are probably warnings, but the Moodle coding style is 4 spaces. That's where the code checker plugin can help a lot. The easiest way to learn the coding style is to configure your text editor in the first place, but then use code checker to point out the things that are wrong. Right, well, thank you everyone for your attention. I have to do all this again in about 6.5 hours time. See how that goes.
All right, thank you very much, Tim, for that presentation. I'll stop recording now, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you.